The Build Show Build Boston series is sponsored by Allura Fiber Cement Siding, Mitsubishi Electric Train US, Roseburg, Schuco USA, and Warmboard.
Show Build Boston. Steve Izek, architect here. Yeah, we're on site for another great day of filming. We are drowning in activity inside there. We're swimming in finishes, literally. It's like a beehive. We got cabinets going in, flooring is almost complete. We got the radiant floor going in down in the basement. On the concrete slab, we got tile work, shower pans, all kinds of stuff going on there. What do you say I jump out of the pool, we head on inside, and we make a splash. I figured we would start outside because we actually have quite a bit happening out here, as well as we bring you up to date with all the things that have been done here. You can see here, as we look across the house, all of the siding is in, except for the two pieces. You can see the black stripe there. Yeah, those got damaged in transit, so we're waiting for 2 more sticks to come. Our sider will put that in, and then the siding will be complete here. But I figured, why don't we just take a quick walk, and we can talk about what's going on here. So you can see here, we have, and right here in this photo, we have 3 different types of siding. These are our 3 primary sidings in the house. We have Allura in an olive color, the green color here, and that is their standard lap siding. It's 4 inches to the weather, or 4 inches exposed. Behind it, we have their iron ore. Again, that's a lap siding, but that's a 1x8 instead of the 1x6 piece, and that is 6 inches to the weather. And the reason for having those somewhat compatible is, and you'll see when we go into the corner, we get 3 courses of green to 2 courses of black. So every 3rd course, we're realigning the siding there because of their dimensional compatibility there. The last siding there, you can see, that is Acre. It's by Modern Mills. We're still making some final decisions on how. It's going to be a stain product, but it might be just a clear coat to bring out that natural wood, or we might, give it a slight accent, maybe make it just a little darker tone, but we're in the midst of doing that. But let's take a walk around the corner here. We can point out a couple things. You can see here in the corner, this is exactly what I was talking about here, where you have the bottom 3 courses, 2 courses, and they align. And then 3 more courses, they align. 3 more courses, they align. So we have that dimensional stability as we course up there. And for some people, they might say, really, is that an issue? Well, the mind sees, and the eye sees some things that the mind sometimes just kind of lets pass, because when you look at that, there's a strong sense of order, and it makes sense. And when things make sense, then the mind tends to not, give a conflict or raise a signal to say, hey, there's a problem there, because there isn't no problem there. It looks good, right? The other thing that we're using here, these are my good friends out at Aquor, and this is the hose bib. So it has a proprietary nozzle that screws in there, but go check them out. Great stuff. They actually have one, I believe, that's coming out that's going to have a mixing valve. So you can actually get hot or cold water, or basically temper it for use. The green pipe, we talked about those. When the grade comes up, we'll cut that pipe at the normal height that we need it at. You can see where the grade is pretty much going to go because of the waterproofing there. But then that all ties into and goes out to our Cultec stormwater management system. One of the other things that I'd point out for do-it-yourselfers, somebody that maybe hasn't been doing it too long, You know, if you get the opportunity, when you backfill your foundation, to let it sit for a decent amount of time, this was all filled in nice and level, and actually, in some cases, this was high ground, and you can see, because from here over was excavated, that the ground tends to compact over time. The water brings it down. So giving it some time to do so then allows the excavator or site contractor to come back and do a second fill in here and then kind of grade that water. You never want this water to move towards the foundation. You want it from that corner to come out, and come out rather quickly, right? Moving over here, you'll see we have one of our grills. We haven't taken the protective coating on. That's for our Zender system. That's either the supply or the intake. I forget what was on this side, but the other one is on the other side of the house. So we try and put those in a, location that has some low discretion, so you don't drive up and see it sticking on the front of the house. Here, we'll have some nice landscaping in here, virtually go away. You can see we have our Acre product here by Modern Mills. You can see the joints here. Pedro and company did a fantastic job siding the house. You can see we have all of the joints aligned perfectly. Modern Mills made up some corners for us here, so all the siding tucks in there, nice and neat. Just a great system. So we have the guys here. We're going to return here a little later when they get this a little more prepped, but they're putting in a couple of the precast piers for our front porch, front stoop here that we'll put together, or we'll shoot that here shortly. But moving down the house, you can see there's our other Zender vent on the wall there. And here we have all three of our sidings coming in nice and nice and crisp. Notice also that the decision was made to match the iron ore in the fascia and not leave it the natural acre. One of the things as an architect, when I'm looking at this, we have our village of buildings. We're staying true to our party. We have the different sidings. But even though we have all of those pieces, we really want to have something that stitches all of those components together to give it kind of a sense of a whole. And for that, I chose to use the fascia to do that. So think of it as, I'm using that to tie that all in together and basically knit the whole project. You'll see that when we go around the back of the house. And then coming down through here, again, this is the Allura. It's in a 6-inch exposure to the weather. This is their iron ore product. We have our Schuco USA windows. These are triple glazed windows throughout the project. Passive house certification level windows, air tightness, tilt turns fixed. This is a fixed unit here. Notice we have our recessed lights in our soffit. We also have our security system by Nice. So we have all of our cameras are now installed. And then coming around the side here, again, we have our sidings to help pick up that village of buildings partie here where we have the iron ore and the green. And as far as the garage doors, we were just looking for something to make them pop off of the wall a little bit and get that third color here. So we went with a natural wood grain finish. We have the lights in there. Those are translucent, so they let light get through them, but you can't really see through them. So if somebody walked up and tried to understand what's in the garage, you're not quite seeing it, but nonetheless, they let the light in. And then around back here, guys have been busy here too. We have our Mitsubishi in. We have our beautiful 4-foot overhang to protect it. We got our good friends at AirX. They supplied us with the terminations for all of our penetrations through the wall there. Go check those guys out. And then, of course, we have the pool. The pool is in and it's backfilled, right? We talked a little bit about it, but it's since been backfilled. I believe we're going to just add a little bit of water to the pool to pretty much stabilize it and give it some lateral interior force against the outside and let it sit. The guys are going to come back first of spring and we'll finish that up. You know, last time, if you didn't catch it, you know, a couple small aspects of it. We have the trough down the back here. That's where we coil up the cover. You can see the little indent in the rail here. That's where the rails get embedded so that the cover comes out of there, uncoils, and runs down that rail system. And you can see the front edge of the trough here is actually leaning towards the pool. That's so that as the cover in the middle, if it's sagging a little, it gets picked up, brought into that coil, turned around. What a beautiful elevation, huh? So we have our plant room, we have our main kitchen, great room, dining area, we have the owner's suite, bathroom, and walk-in closet. But again, same sidings, Allura and iron ore, Allura in the olive, and then of course we finished off the owner's bedroom here in the acre product, and then we also did the acre at the end wall of the garage there. So looking good. All of our precast footings are in here. We'll catch the install on the front ones there, and we'll have a little bit more of a talk on those. But you can see our deck ledgers in. We're ready to frame a deck here. So to my knowledge, that's going to be happening in the next couple weeks. We'll get that framed in here. All of our PV, we talked about that earlier. Taking the house to zero energy. Coming around the corner here, again, we have a second Zender system, so you can see we have one vent there. We have another one on the other side. Actually, it's on the other side of the house there, but part of our ventilation system. The thing about the ventilation system for the Zender is there's a requirement that a minimum 10 feet of displacement, right? You want to avoid what's called re-entrainment. You don't want to have an exhaust and a supply right next to each other so that we're sending out bad stuff and it's literally going right around the corner and coming back into the house. We want that 10-foot displacement so the stuff that gets thrown out here doesn't affect the stuff that's getting sucked in over here, right? So the whole purpose of that system is to get outside air in, get it filtered and talked about. Here we have our tube footings and we have yet another deck here. This is all set up. We're going to have our outdoor shower here. You can see our plumbing has already been roughed in, and the whole purpose of this shower is twofold. We have a door there that goes right to the owner's bathroom, and then that allows the owners to come out here and use the shower. I mean, I would say all summer long, but if they wanted to take a shower on a nice, cool, brisk winter day, they can do that too. Off the front here, we'll have a small deck with a few stairs that go down so that the shower is also to be used with the pool outside. So it basically has a dual function there. Coming around here, we have all of our electrical is in place. Wires all the way here. We need the local utility company to come here and energize the house. Electrician is kind of at the end of his work. It's on the utility company now to, they've already inspected it, but to return with their guys and add the meter and then basically start sending power and power the place up. So we have our electrical here. The smaller conduits here are for our low voltage communication, phone lines, that kind of stuff that comes in there. And then going around the corner, here, you know, we have our bulkhead here. That's a standard Bilco system. Bilco's the manufacturer of basically the door and frame and hood, as well as we have that extension. That's looks like about a 12-inch extension there. And that just allows us to get down, get the necessary headroom, and get deep enough into the ground. So those extensions, I believe you can get them in 6, 12, 18, and it's either 18 is the highest, maybe 24. And then, of course, we have our precast stair there. Going down this side here, we just did all olive pretty much from there. We have our egress windows here down into the pit. And then we're going to end up right back at the front end loader where we started. So I think, you know, we'll go over there and we'll catch up with those guys. We'll talk a little bit about setting those precast concrete piers, and then we'll jump inside and we'll talk about a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in there. So let's head over. We'll catch up with Charlie. You know, I always talk about, hey, I've been in this for 30 years. Charlie's been at the wheel for over 40 years. So he's a man that understands how to move dirt. So let's go catch up with Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
Hi, Steve.
So I figured, hey, we're out here. Charlie's been doing a lot of work. You saw him in the septic system. He's been setting piers. He's been setting our grade. Charlie's our site contractor here. Charlie, I know you've been in this business a long time.
40 years, Steve.
40 years. Were they powered vehicles when you started?
These? Wind up.
There you go. There you go. But, you know, I had the privilege of watching Charlie at work. You know, he's like a surgeon with these things. And for those of you out there that think, hey, it's no problem, I could get in there, how hard is it? Hey, get in an excavator, rent one, and see if you can do the precision that Charlie does here. So, Charlie, we're setting precast piers. These come from Shea Concrete?
These are from Shea Concrete.
They're a local precast manufacturer. That's where we got our septic tank from too,
Correct.
Right? Yeah, so they pretty much handle the Boston metro area with all of our precast needs. A lot of builders, you know, it's one of those things. Some of them like doing Bigfoots with sonotubes. A lot of the builders I work with like these precast. I think you're highly in favor of the precast.
I'm highly in favor of it because I have the center mark to put it to every time. And you can plumb them and make them nice and level. And you don't have to worry about a sonotube collapsing once this is in. And when I put it in, it's over.
Yeah, and Shea does a really good job. Not only do they have the threaded insert for the column base, but we can use that threaded insert. We'll just take a quick walk over there and check that out. But Charlie, we're gonna watch your precision here. So I'm just gonna take a quick walk. We'll talk about this and then we'll have you put it in place. But you can see here, we have the eye bolt. It's threaded, it goes into the rod. It's the same threaded hole that the column base will go into. And then of course, Charlie's strap there. But we'll watch Charlie as he works with the utmost of precision and we'll get this in. While Charlie's...
Shea also supplies the bolt to hold the basket.
Also, right, so they supply the bolt, Shea does, to hold the basket. So, you know, Shea Concrete, if you're looking for your precast. We got Sean down in the hole here. So it's certainly teamwork. One of the things I wanted to point out is this stick. So 2 things about this stick. One, this is the dimension off of the foundation that these need to get set at. 2, it's put together at precisely a right angle so that we know we're getting that direct measurement, but we also know we have marks on the foundation and we know that the center of stick is actually going to be the center of the pier. So I'll let Sean work his magic here and step out of the way.
Sean, can you go higher?
So these guys are just chatting with each other here to, you know, go this way, go that way, set the piers.
How's that line up? You like it? Perfect. Check your level.
Right. So there you have it. We'll come back. Charlie will fill this up. Couple things about the precast. You know, when you look at these, notice that they're belled at the bottom, right? Very similar to our bodies. We're not quite belled at the bottom, but we have a foot, right? So not only do we have the pier, but we have the footing underneath the pier. The purpose of most footings are to increase the amount of reaction we can get from the ground, right? So my 160-pound frame, it goes down. If I didn't have feet and just had 2 sticks, I'd probably be getting stuck in all the dirt. By putting my feet at the bottom of my body, it spreads that 160 pounds over maybe 2.5 times the same area. So just like my body, these footings are spreading that load. And you know, concrete's really good in compression. So these piers are working exactly in favor of concrete's best capability, you know, compression. So we get that high compressive load, we spread it across the bottom there, and we'll backfill this. We'll put our posts in. They'll go on our Simpson base caps, and then we'll have our frame. Landscaper will come in and put the stairs, and voila, we got a front entry. So let's jump inside. We got a bunch of things going on in there. As much as I love Charlie and heavy equipment, we got other things to talk about.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, so we're headed back into the owner's bathroom, but look what I grabbed along the way. So these are our custom cut HVAC grills. Yes, they're not super rocket science. I get it. I say custom grills when you're sitting there saying, "Whoa, Steve, come on." Those aren't crazy, but the beauty of these are, look at this construction. These are, well, first of all, this is Cape Cod air grills, if you're wondering, but they have the little bow tie attachments in each of the corners. These are made to just simply drop into the system. But this is where Cape Cod went above and beyond. We actually had some of the Mafia flooring sent down. You can see this is engineered flooring. That is our actual flooring. And now when we put it down, we're not getting a white oak that kind of looks similar. We actually have the actual flooring that Cape Cod air grills took and made the grills specifically for this project to specifically match and be pre-finished. So it'll look beautiful when it's done. So kudos to Cape Cod Grill. All right, first stop, basement, radiant floor. You saw a lot of videos upstairs where we shot about warm board. Now, the difference between upstairs and down here is the warm board panels are a different size and they're going on a concrete slab instead of the wood frame. So a little memory refresh for you. Upstairs, we used an 1.125" panel, simply got nailed and glued down to all of the beautiful Roseburg floor joists above my head. Down here, it's basically the same panel, but this is a 3/4 inch plywood or OSB that the aluminum is laminated to. Now, these are called their R panels as opposed to the S panel above. S panel is their new construction panel. The R panel is their remodeling panel. This isn't made to go over floor joist. It's made to go over existing sheathing in a remodeling application upstairs, or you can use it down in the basement like we're going to use it here. Now, one of the concerns that warm board has is their OSB is not treated at the bottom. So they do not want this installed directly on the concrete slab. We have to put some type of vapor barrier, not a retarder. We don't want any moisture having the ability to migrate up inside of the OSB. Now, some of you are going to say, okay, Steve, I saw the video where we poured the slab, you put a piece of Stego down there. Are you going to put a vapor retarder on top now? Yes, we are. Let me explain why. you're probably thinking, we're going to trap some moisture in there. Yes, the slab pretty much loses, and this isn't my information, this is a concrete expert that I worked with a few years ago on a similar type project, but his rule of thumb was 1 month of drying per 1 inch of slab. So if you have a 4-inch slab like we had here, it needs to be exposed for at least 4 months. Now, the slab is always going to dry, but after that 4-month period, you've pretty much exhausted or got rid of most of the moisture. So what we're doing here is, yes, we have a vapor barrier underneath it, but the slab has been open for probably about 10 months now. So it's had some really good drying. It's pretty much what I would consider steady state. So putting another vapor barrier on top, we're just going to basically seal in that slab between the two vapor barriers at the moisture content that it's in, and it's just going to be steady state for the rest of its life because it doesn't have the ability to dry down or dry up. Now, warm board requires a 6 to 10 mil poly. If you remember when we did the under slab, we used Stego, and it's a 15 mil poly, and we still had a couple rolls of that left over from using it under slab. So we're just breaking it out again here. Now, is there a problem by upgrading from a 10 mil poly to a 15 mil poly? No, 10 mil poly doesn't allow moisture to go through. 15 mil poly doesn't allow moisture to go through. Results exactly the same. This is just a little bit more durable, right? So Stego on the slab, and we can take a walk over there. We have some examples of it. And then we basically put the panel right on top, and then we're going to shoot it in here with a power actuated or pneumatic gun. So we actually have a special gun here by Max, and we have a special compressor there. It shoots the nails. They come in a coil here. You can see here, I'll show you exactly what those look like. They have like a little rubber bushing so when they get shot in there, but they're made to be shot into concrete. Now, that's one hell of a task for a pneumatic nailer. You know, typical pneumatic guns run on a much lower pressure than this. This is upwards of, 400 PSI. So it's a pretty powerful gun to drive that nail down in the concrete, but it makes for a very, very sturdy system. Over here, we actually have the compressor. It's a special compressor. You can't just plug in your everyday compressor. This is one that's made for that Max gun. But what they did was, it's actually a dual compressor. It has one side, which is that high pressure that operates at that 400 PSI to operate that gun to drive these tasks. But if you were doing other things like, nailing up framing and you need the lower pressure, it has another side where you can dial down that pressure and achieve it. If you look inside here or behind me, you just get a really good example here. I'm going to come in and poke my head. You can see, basically, there's not a whole lot of magic here, right? All we're trying to do is make sure that the wood doesn't touch the concrete, that the panel is always in contact with the poly so it doesn't wick that water up. It's not rocket science, it's building science. You probably heard me say that a million times from Joe, but yeah, so the guys are here. They took a little bit of break so we could shoot this, but it's almost like it knew that we were finishing the video. Anyways, that's that compressor. I'll catch up with you later. We'll head upstairs. We got some great stuff happening up there, so I'll see you up there. All right, so I'm out here at Model Building and Cabinetry. It's owned by a friend of mine, Jeff Model. He's a cabinet maker. I've probably been working with him for well over 20 years. And I know it's not the most extravagant entrance, but the cabinetry is spot on. So let's go inside and we'll check it out. All right, so we're inside. You can see we got cabinets getting delivered in a couple days. So these are a bunch of the cabinets that are going out there for our project. out at Build Show Build Boston. But let's go over here and we'll check out the shop and we'll talk a little bit more about what we got going on. So it's a full service cabinetry shop. Jeff and his guys do beautiful work. Entertainment centers, kitchen cabinets, bathrooms, mudrooms, all of it. If we can think it up, he can build it for us. So, but the first thing I want to start with is, what are we using for the cabinetry, right? So here's just a cutoff. See, wipe that off. You can see that is a beautiful walnut veneer. This is supplied by our friends at Roseburg, and you can see it's a plywood veneer. On this side here is the A side, obviously, A side being the side like that you want to see. So on the inside of our cabinets, we'll have the BC side. You can see here where they put together veneers. It's still the walnut, but it's not nearly as attractive as the A side, for good reason, right? So you put those together and you get that nice finish on the outside. We actually have a bunch of them stacked up. They're pretty much throughout the shop. I think we did walk over here. All of these are also going out there. The panels here, these long panels, these are for the refrigerator side. And the thing that I want to call your attention to is over here on the edge. You know, one of the things I like to do is I like to double that up and get a little thicker. So he always puts a second piece on the inside, and then we thicken up that edge there. So, but you can see here, this is a good example, right? We have a cabinet where we have the end where we're going to see it. That gets the A side, but a cabinet that gets buried, meaning that has a panel on it or a cabinet that's adjacent to it, then they flip it around and they put the BC side on the outside and the A side on the inside of the cabinet. So you can see here, this one here is set up for drawers and a base cabinet, but it has a full walnut interior also. So all the pieces get cut. I mean, it's I like to say it's a lot of magic. It's not a lot of magic. It's a lot of good craftsmanship. They cut it up, they put it together. But let's head out the back. We got some more out there. You can see here we got a bunch more cabinetry here. You know, one of the things about, you know, model cabinetry here, talking with Jeff, you know, once these things get built, the risk is that they get damaged in the shop. So he really kind of times the scheduling so they get built and then they get shipped out of here like in a day or two from actually being finished and done. So that way there he puts himself at a much lower risk, and he just doesn't have a warehouse here to store it. On these cars here, I can roll this one out. But this is one of the upper cabinets here. So you can see it's already cut, so we can have the adjustable shelving inside there for the pins. So over here we have the table where basically the panels, they bring them in, they touch them up, they sand them, knock down any of the glue, any of that stuff that's left on the panel, and then they're brought over here, and you can see the gent there, he's doing the ultimate finish, last finish on them, and then he'll put them on the drying rack. You see here, one of these, just how beautiful that looks, right? And then those ultimately will finish, and that's basically the finished product. So looking very much to see these cabinets get installed. So let's head on back to the job site and check it out. Check this out. We're going into the plant room. Last time we were in here, we were talking about the tile, but look at this. Yeah, it's a storage warehouse. We have all of our kitchen cabinets in here, and we got a bunch of the bases here. We got some stuff for the vanity, but all of our walnut cabinets, and you saw me I was out at the shop there. We shot some video there to talk about it. You can see a bunch of those cabinets. They're here. Gorgeous walnut veneer. And we got this from Roseburg, who makes veneer plywood. They make all kinds of plywood, but this is their walnut veneer stuff. So looking good. Let's go check out the kitchen. We got the installers there. They're putting in a bunch of stuff. So let's go catch up and see what they're doing. All right, so this is where all of that work in the shop, getting the cabinets out here, where it all happens, right? This is the final destination. This is where we make the kitchen. So you can see here, first off, you know, Jeff has a pretty extensive set of drawings here that, you know, he needs to do, because you got to remember, they get this plywood from Roseburg. It gets delivered to the shop. Then they have to take that plywood. They need a cut list. They need to cut the drawer fronts, the door fronts, all of the different panel pieces, side panels, etc. So they need to know what they're cutting and how to make up that cut list. And so they get that. When the cabinets finally get made, they get a number to them. You know, I think I saw one here, you know, B29 or I. It's a game of bingo. And those cabinets get numbered, but then the installers here, Danny and Matt, they need to know where each of the cabinets go, because they weren't part of the design of the kitchen. They're just going to install the components that they were given and the roadmap, which is the shop drawings of where those pieces go. So starting on the back of the wall here, you can see this is where the cooktop goes. We know that because we got our exhaust duct up there. So we have some beautiful G appliances. Wait till you see this one that we're putting in there. It's a little teaser, but that's all I'm going to say about it. But you can see here, we have that blank panel because we have an induction cooktop. We have some deep drawers below there for the pots and pans. We have drawer bases on each side of those. And then we have a standard cabinet over here. This one will get duplicated on the other side. So this is a perfectly symmetrical layout here. I like to put the drawers on each side of the cooktop because this is where your utensils go. We can put a nice rack in there. You can have all your spices there. We're obviously going to have some wall cabinets there and there, flanking the hood to kind of complete that whole wall. Opposite the wall, we have a beautiful island going here. It's basically going to be the length of that, around 10 feet. It's going to be about 4 feet wide. We're going to have full depth cabinetry on this side, and then we'll have some shallower depth cabinetry on the other side, plus the overhang. As you can see, we're already planned out for our wiring, so electrician will run that up. We'll cut in the boxes. We have some nice wide legs that the boxes will fit in and look absolutely beautiful. On the wall behind us here, you can see Danny's working hard on this. We have our oven tower here in the corner. We got some storage up above, storage down below. Now, a lot of times these will have baking trays that go in because it's a beautiful place to store, you know, those large cookie trays, etc. We have just an upper cabinet, lower cabinet with a backsplash. You can see we're all wired for our under cabinet lighting here. And then in here, we have our refrigerator, the hole. Now, you can see on that side there where it basically extends in a little deeper. That allows us to put a full-size fridge in here, but make it look like it was counter depth. So we're kind of cheating the system by pushing that in back there. One of the things I wanted to point out, this is for all you tool nerds out there. Now, I'm not selling Bosch levels, but this one's a digital one. It goes to 2 decimal places. I saw these guys using it a little earlier, but you get to know exactly level using this. So I'll leave it to you guys. You can put it in the comments, love it or hate it. I'm just talking about it. So And then you can see above, you know, again, some cabinet storage. Now, two things about the refrigerator panels. I like to do them double thick. I hate just seeing a 3/4 inch panel on the end of the refrigerators, and you see that an awful lot. This is just not strong enough for me. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying, okay, you did it double there, Steve, but you only did it single here. No, the single here you're never going to see, because this is getting a full face frame here with the oven tower, and it'll line up with the doors, right? You got to remember, we have 3/4 of an inch that the doors will be put on here, so the face frame where we actually have the double oven will come out to meet that face of the doors. Over here, same thing. You can see there's a little 3/4 inch recess on both sides. That's so that we get the flush appearance of the cabinetry doors above, but below that refrigerator will slide right in. And in an effort not to waste material, but also it provides a little kind of nudging room for the refrigerator. When Jeff and his guys take these panels and they make them double thick, they take that panel and they only run it in about 10 inches. So it's more than enough that once the refrigerator is in, you're never going to see past it. But that also widens the back of that refrigerator space 1.5 inches. So if you had to do some minor adjustment with the refrigerator, you're not running into that side panel with such tight tolerances. So it gives you a little bit of freedom there. On the other side, they're getting ready to put some cabinets in. Now, like I said, when we were out at the shop, I've known Jeff for probably well over 20 years. We've literally done hundreds of kitchens and spaces together. One of the things that I was intrigued with when I first met him is how he actually installs his cabinets. I thought it was a really cool idea. And what it starts with is these little angle brackets, and they're just a waste product. These are cutoffs that he makes these angle brackets there. And so what these become are basically the feet for the base frame. So if we come over here, slide this bad boy out of the way, and you see the face frame down here. But notice the face frame is, you know, 1/2 inch off of the floor. Now, the reason for that is, you know, this is new construction, so this is probably pretty darn good, spot on. But a lot of our projects that I've done with Jeff, we might be 3 inches here, and 10 feet away, we're 3.5 inches on the floor because it's a 120-year-old house. So how do you level that in a floor that's, you know, riding a wave? Well, the way you do that is you build a smaller dimensional base frame. This is probably about 1/2 inch smaller than the actual face frame. And then you put these angles, you screw them into the floor, and then you level out the base here, and then basically just screw it in. Now, you don't have to worry about the screws because we're going to have a finished face frame that'll wrap inside of that, or on the outside of that. That base is made 3/4 of an inch smaller so that we can finish it appropriately. But I always just thought that was an ingenious way to set up these bases, in that you can adjust it, get it perfectly level. You can see they went through and they found out exactly where all of the cabinets are going, where the studs are going to go, how that layout is going. So, you know, when it comes to cabinetry, I know some of you guys out there that are just great installers. You know, it's in the planning. Putting the cabinet in, screwing it, that's the easy part. Making sure things are level, square, plumb, that's the hard part. Getting everything nice and true, nice and straight, and getting it ready for everything that comes afterwards. So the other nice thing about doing that face frame is you can see there's an example right here. In this case here, we have a heating duct or a toe kick. And so that allows them to cut out that frame around it, basically sit it back that 3/4 of an inch, because the finished frame will then get also cut out, and then the grill will get attached and cover that. And also on the back side here, we have some of our ventilation ducts that we're dodging a beam. So that base gives us the opportunity to turn those, get them into the wall appropriately, so we don't have a problem there. So anyways, that's it. These guys are going to continue. We'll probably catch up with them on the next video. And by then we'll have the island in. We'll be talking about, wait till you see the bath vanities. Just absolutely beautiful. And I'll take credit for the design on them, but wait till you see them. Other than that, that's it for our cabinetry for today. So we'll get a quick view out the back here. All right. I'm Steve Bazek. This is Build Show Build Boston. And that's our little talk about cabinets. All right. So I know I said we were done, but like usual, I'll give you a little bit of bonus footage. I came around the back and I caught up with Kyle. Kyle's our camera guy. And I said, hey, before you leave, we got to catch this, man. So they're dry fitting the shower pan. I know in the water management and video there, you know, I ot a lot of comments that people can't wait to see this shower floor get installed. So we're dry fitting it there. But we also have Rodrigo here. Rodrigo's owner of Peterson.
Yep.
And they're the ones that are in charge of all of our tile work. So you can see the full waterproofing scheme has been executed in the shower. And we have the shower pan there. Now, if I remember, we have like a 3 inch plus recess here. So underneath this, Butech actually makes a filler board, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we grab the piece here. The piece under there, I believe that you used, what's that, like 2 or 3 inch?
3 inch.
3 inch underneath there. This is a 1/4 inch. So I believe they have them in like 1/4 inch increments, so you can build up whatever recess you have. It's got a, you know, pretty coarse surface here with a bunch of, you know, it's a cementitious finish here, but it's very, very rough due to kind of these round scales here. So that gives you some bite to put the thin set. So if you needed to glue a couple of these together using thin set, or having that one below to put the shower pan down on, they'll just trowel on some thin set, right?
Yes, go ahead.
And then the shower pan is just going to fit nice and neatly. It's going to squish all your grooved lines there, and then forever be perfectly level with our floor here. Stay tuned. You can see everything fits. We got our drains aligned. We're ready to go. These guys are going to hit it. The next time we shoot video, we'll come on back and we'll see that beautiful shower floor. And I trust, you know, all of his work has just been exceptional to this point. So I can't imagine anything but perfection in getting that to the floor. So
everything flat, perfect. Looks
now,
like that.
this is the first time you've ever done one of these shower pans.
Yeah.
So you're probably pretty excited. I know when I get to do things the first time, you sit there and say, okay, it's going to take me a little longer. It's a little bit more of a challenge, but it's kind of cool doing new stuff.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah, new stuff. This is the first time I'm using it too. So anyways, that's the end. Hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of a bonus. I'm Steve Bazek, Architect. This is Build Show Build Boston. Until next time.
Thank you.